Yeah, I just want to get a clear picture. He says that evil is the absence of good, right? Okay. Um, but presumably, what would be, right, the logical contradiction in God creating a world, right, where agents are even free by His discretion, right? But there is no absence of good. They always end up choosing the good. That's what I want him to answer, and he just keeps evading.
Well, where do you get the premise that there's a choice of good in certain agents? Where do you
Is a choice of good. Do you not know
do you know what total
what
depravity
do you
represents?
know well what okay, yeah, total depravity, fine, right? But we're just talking about possible worlds here, and
Yeah,
what is
do you know the
logically
verse? There's
possible
none
or what
that
isn't
does
logically
good.
possible. Yeah, but so what, right? Like
Have you ever
I'm
heard
not
there's no
committed
one
to
good
total
but God
depravity.
alone?
I'm just asking you, right, what would be the logical impossibility for God to create a world, right, where people are free agents, but they always choose the good. They can choose, they can only just choose between things that are good.
Yeah,
What's the logical
you
impossibility?
assume that a
Why
choice of
why
good.
God why doesn't God have a reason to create such a world over the actual world? You're not answering the
No,
question.
your question is loaded simply because you presume that good can be chosen.
But you I'm not presuming anything, right? I'm just asking you what your view is. I'm just asking you
Total
whether you think it's a
depravity. If
logical
you want
impossibility
me to
or not.
expound on total depravity?
Okay, but can you answer the question? I don't
Your
know
question is
why
loaded,
you
and I
keep
just told you
dodging.
why.
Are you going to answer the question
I
or
don't
not?
answer loaded questions. I just explained to you why it's loaded. You have a built-in
Why it's
assumption. You have a
loaded.
built-in assumption. That's what a loaded question is.
But you just said you look,
Are you
even
gonna
if I
listen? You have a
there
built-in
is no
assumption
loaded
that good can be chosen.
there is no loaded assumption here, right? You made a claim. You said that you believed in a version of
No,
free
I did
will and
not. No, I did
autonomy,
not.
right?
No,
Yes,
I
you
did not.
did. You did. There are
I'm gonna
replays
say it
on this
again. I'm gonna
room.
say it again. Okay.
You said
I
that you
believe
did
in
believe in free
creaturely
will. You're a
will. Very
liar,
specific.
right?
Hang on, Darth. I said I believe in creaturely will. I never used the word free. You somehow turned my statement of creaturely will. You did not ask me what I meant by that, and then you turned it into free will. And when I just explicitly told you I don't believe in libertarian free will.
That's not the only kind of free will, John. If you're calling it creaturely will, it's the same thing as saying a free will.
I disagree.
You disagree. Why? What
Well,
would
that's
be the
just
criterion
well,
to
look.
disagree
This was
with?
just
If he's just disagreeing, then he just is using like a proprietary notion,
No, I
right?
can
Of what
tell
a
you why I disagree. I can tell you why I disagree. Within the theology, the Reformed theology that I adhere to, if you want to examine it philosophically, there's hard determinism, there's libertarian free will, there's compatibilism. What does compatibilism entail? It entails what's called creaturely will, okay, and it call and it's God as a monergistic salvific faith that we receive, that we in and of our totally depraved state of sinfulness that all people are born with because of the sin of Adam cannot choose to do good. They act according to their nature, which is evil. And so to say that person can choose to do good, that's fallacious. That's a and if
okay,
you didn't understand that, I could repeat it for you and
but
elaborate.
why couldn't you? Why when I asked you repeatedly, it was a very simple question. Why when I asked you repeatedly whether or not it was a logical impossibility, right? To God create a world with free agents, but they always choose the good. You just didn't want to respond, right? It's just a simple yes or no question, right? Look, and here's the second part, right? Okay, let's even grant, right? Let's be charitable. Let's say that, that people are just evil by their nature, and they can't choose to do good, right? Um, due to total depravity, or whatever. So what, right? Like, why couldn't have God actualized a possible world where people's nature was the contrary to what the actual world is, right? Why couldn't he create a world where it's in people's nature to always do the good? They don't choose it; they just do it by what their determined nature is. So it just whether you think that you get out of this problem by saying that there is no free will, but there isn't one. You could just say, well, why couldn't have God created a world where people are always determined to do what's good, right?
Think about what you
So
said.
so
Think
can
about
you
why. Could I answer that? Oh, I don't know.
can you answer? Can you answer? Well, what is
I
the
was just
logical
about to.
impossibility? What is the logical impossibility for God to create a state of affairs where people are always determined by their nature to do the good, right?
Because very simply, if a person, like the example of why can't God create a world that they can only do good? Well, vanilla ice cream is good, chocolate ice cream is good. That's a choice. Vanilla, chocolate, they're both good. Why can't He create a world where, you know, uh, that people are choosing and they're only choosing good? This is your question.
No, I'm not even talking about choice. I'm even granting your determinism and saying, you say that in the actual world, people are determined to do evil by their nature, right? But why couldn't an omnibenevolent deity create a possible state of affairs in a different possible world where people are, by their nature, they always do the good, right? So uh, it doesn't even matter if you insert free will or determinism here. The same objection applies. What's the logical impossibility, John?
First and foremost, your question
What's the logical
is not a hang on,
impossibility, John?
hang on,
What's the logical impossibility, John?
hang
I
on.
want to straight.
Yeah, no one's claiming logical impossibility, okay? First and foremost, okay?
Okay.
If you want to claim that, hang on, if you want to claim that I'm claiming that, you have no statements whatsoever that represent that, first and
What you have
foremost,
just uttered is
okay?
But you
definitely
just uttered
So,
that it was just a
in other
second ago.
words, hang on, let me finish, okay? And so, when God, according to the Bible, created this world, He called it good, okay? In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve had a choice to do good as well as evil. Had they done any evil? They did not. They had many choices within the Garden of Eden to choose, but God put a tree there and said, that you cannot eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, of the fruit of it. And so they had the choice not to eat of that tree, right? So if he were to put that tree there and force them in a situation to where they have no opportunity to disobey, then all it is just no freedom. Freedom, like the choice only to do good, is no freedom.
Okay, but
Isn't it?
why would God?
Wait. Isn't it the case that God's omnipotence is the ability to actualize all logically possible states of affairs?
Yeah. And so Jack, you want God to
So if God can actualize all logically possible states of affairs, what is the logical bar to God actualizing a world in which um, all creatures do the good, but all
Yeah, okay. So the answer to that question, Jack, is this, okay? God created the entire universe for what? For humans? No, he did not create the world for humans. He did not create the earth for humans. He did not create the natural universe for humans. He created the world for what purpose? For his own glory. Okay? This is first and foremost why he
you're
created the world.
prevaricating.
And so let me go on. And so when God permitted within his permissive will to sin, and therefore you know sin entered the world and therefore death. So what did God do? He devised a plan for him to what? To save uh, mankind. Okay, why? For his own glory. Okay, when he puts the disobedient and puts them in hell, what does that achieve? His glory. And so God, being omnipotent, he created all these things for the very simple purpose of his uh,
I've heard.
What was the question that I asked?
How did that address anything that he said?
Yeah, what was the question that I asked? Did you hear my
Yes, I
question?
did.
What was my question?
You asked basically like why did God not create a world in which
Didn't ask you
people can
that.
only do
I didn't ask you fucking that. I asked
okay.
you what is the logical bar to God creating such a world, right? And you didn't fucking answer that question. So what's the answer to that?
What is the logical bar? I don't understand that question though.
If you didn't understand the question,
Why don't you
why didn't you say that rather than waste our time with fucking nonsense that wasn't an answer
Hang
to the
on.
question?
You did
Jack
not
just
use
means the
anything like logical
contradiction.
bar in your initial question.
Sorry. My question is, if you didn't understand what the question is, why didn't you say, no, I didn't fucking change the wording.
Look. Very
So what's the
simple.
logical bar? What's the logical bar to God creating such a world?
Yeah, I don't understand that question.
I'm asking you, what's the contradiction entailed by God creating such a world?
What contradiction? Are you claiming there's a contradiction?
You're claiming there's a contradiction, right? That's what he wants to know.
Look. This all started.
Wait, no, let's just ask him to answer the fucking question, right? What's the logical contradiction entailed by God creating such
What? I'm not the one claiming contradiction of anything. Are you claiming?
Sorry, I thought you said that God can actualize any logically possible world, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
within his good nature. Sure.
right.
Yeah, so if you think
So what prevents God from actualizing a world like that if there's no logical contradiction?
Free will?
Wait a minute,
you just
free
said a
will.
minute ago that you don't even hold to free will. You hold to this creaturely will thing.
No.
Yeah, but
We're talking
free
about the
will,
actions of God, are we not, Jeff?
I don't see what free will has to do with
Talking
it,
about
right? If
the
it's
Yeah.
actions of
logically
God or the
possible,
actions of humans?
But he's
I thought you
contradicting
if it's
himself.
logically
But
possible,
Jack.
you know, I realize he's contradicting himself, but the point is, I don't understand how free will is some kind of a bar to God actualizing it, right? Because it's not inconsistent with man's free will that they always choose the good, right? There's no logical inconsistency there.
Wait a minute. Are you talking
Wait, did
about...
John just say
hang
free
on,
will
Jack.
when
Are you
before he
talking
was
about
denying the?
men,
He
or are you
did,
talking about
yeah.
God? Hey, Jack, are you talking about the actions of God or are you talking about the actions of...
I asked, what's the logical bar to God creating a world in which all creatures do the good? And you said free will.
Wait a
But
minute. No, wait, hang on. Hang on. Hang on. You're asking about God. And so why did God create the world in which he did? Is that the question?
I'm asking,
No, the question.
what prevents God from creating a world in which all creatures do the
Yeah. Free will.
great? I don't see how free will is not inconsistent. Free will is not inconsistent with
God is
creatures
not logical.
always choose.
Wait. Is there a logical obligation for a God who has free will to create a world in which people can only choose?
What do you mean by a logical obligation?
Logical
I don't think a
necessity,
logical
logical
obligation
obligation.
Yeah, there's a logical necessity if God is good.
Right.
I disagree.
Well, what does it mean to say that God is good if he doesn't actualize the best possible world.
Who says he hasn't?
Well, how is it that God can actualize a world in which there's evil in it, right? If what it means to be perfectly good, right, is to do what one has most reason to do.
Yeah, there's no logical necessity for God to create a world in which evil does not exist.
Yeah, how is that an answer to my question?
I made a statement. Are you claiming
Did you not hear my question?
I absolutely heard your question.
Yeah, so why don't you answer it?
Your question assumes that God cannot create a world in which evil exists.
How does it assume that?
It assumes
There's
quite
no
the opposite,
necessity.
John.
Yeah, there's simply no logical necessity for a good God to create a world within his permissive will to not allow evil to exist in the world.
Well, wait a minute. I thought you said that he was perfectly good.
Absolutely.
Right, so that means that he seeks to minimize evil,
Not
right?
necessarily.
And given that there
Not necessarily.
So then what does it mean to say that he's good if he doesn't seek?
Now, when you say minimize evil, you're assuming that evil exists and therefore it's minimized. Are you?
I'm asking what it means to say that he's good. I'm asking what it means to say that he's good. Stop telling me to hang on, right? I'm asking you a question, right? So listen to the question that I'm asking. Stop over talking me. Listen to the question that I'm asking and then answer the question that I ask. Okay, stop over talking me. Okay, listen to the question that I'm asking and then answer the question that I ask.
You want me to leave?
What does it mean? Stop. Yeah, you can fucking leave if you want, fucking dumbass, because I know that you're a fucking dodger. I've dealt with you before, right? I know that you dodge. So if you want to dodge, if you want to run away and dodge because you can't answer the fucking objection, go and run away, you fucking piece of shit coward. I don't give a fuck if you run, right? So the question that I'm asking, if you're not going to run like the fucking dodging piece of shit that you are, is... Okay.
He had to go walk his dog.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you have just witnessed. It's the
You've
height of.
just witnessed the height of dodging to a degree that not even Matt Slick in his good old days could have.
Wait! I just wanted to ask Jack, why do you have to be so aggressive against?
because he was dodging.
He dodged. He dodged me too.
Wait. Dodging is not just playing this kind of.
No, dude, Jack was patient with him. Did you just? I mean, were you just listening to the same conversation that we were all listening to? He asked the same question 3 different ways for the benefit of charity, dude. And he kind of lost his shit when John was.
Brody, let me tell you this.
That's a normal reaction, right? That's a justified reaction.
No,
Brody,
that's
with
not
John is always the exact same. No matter what you ask him, he's got his own answer to his own thought, has nothing to do with the conversation, and it always goes in circles, and it takes up hours of conversation because he wants to talk about what he wants to talk about, and he will not answer your question.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Jack didn't hear that, and his second reaction was like super excited and super mad. Like, right after John tried to answer a different question that Jack didn't ask, Jack like right away was mad and saying, "I didn't ask you that, dumbass." That was his second reaction.
Good job.
Oh my god.
Brody, the only thing I can say to that is you were not listening to the same conversation that the 8 of.
Yeah, this is what I said also, that I didn't witness the same conversation that you had.
Hey, Jack,
are you still there, Jack?
Yeah.
He's been like that the whole time.
Hey, I was wondering why so many people like you, and today I found.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had seen me on YouTube or something.
Oh no, this was funny. I like this. Like John had it coming. John Lee has it coming. He's been dodging and not answering questions for fucking years.
Well, Ron,
Wait,
how
so
long have we
Jack,
known John, and he's done the same thing for like 3 or 4 years?
Hey?
We've known John for 3 or 4 years, and he's done the exact same thing.
Oh, he's pissed off everybody. Christians, Muslims,
Yeah, like
atheists.
I struggle to go through with it now. So that was a good reaction, I think.
wait, so Jack, if I'm getting this like straight, he said that God has determined it that like evil is within our nature, right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Right. So, Darth, you asked him why couldn't God put it in our natures that we can only do good.
Right.
Right. And his response to that was just free will.
Right. So yeah, so that he's just going in circles, because when I asked him what would be the logical impossibility for God to create a world of where people have the choice, right? People have free will, but they always choose the good. He said, "Oh no, but that's because we don't have free will." Right? So when I asked him, that doesn't matter, right? So why couldn't God determine us, right, in a certain world to always do good? He says, "No, that can't happen because we have free will." Which one is it?
Right.
You guys interact with John a lot? Or?
I'm with him in
Never.
a room almost every
Well,
day.
just this case, right? But this case was just for a humiliation purpose.
I'm in a room with him almost every day and listen to the conversations.
How do you survive?
I'll have fun with it, and everybody else too.
Yeah, I don't bother talking.
Honestly, like most of the like 80%, 70% of the conversation with John is John, you're interrupting. John, that's not what we're talking about. John, this is not the conversation. John, stop interrupting. And I don't think he gets it. So, yeah.
Well, he contradicted himself multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
So
Always does.
Yeah, he contradicted himself before the Angstreich era and after the Angstreich era.